What is up, guys? My name is TCG, and today we're going to be doing a different type of video today. We're actually going to be reviewing my games that I had done this past weekend, where I played a different deck for once other than RP Law, and we've basically played Bonney. Bonney's probably going to be my leader of choice for op07. I think it's definitely one of the best leaders released in the set. It would only be second to Lucci in my honest opinion, and I actually think the deck is very fun. This deck wasn't something that I created. It was actually a guy from my locals who is absolutely fucking goated with his deck building choices. Basically, if I want to build a deck that's basically green, he's kind of my go-to guy. But yeah, he's the go. I'll show you the list like somewhere here when I get it, and if I can actually share it with you guys. But if not, then basically I'll try to see if I can have something similar, but not exactly it. But I'll try my best to show you the list as soon as I can. So without further ado, this is game one of my locals tournament that I had on Saturday, where we played against a newer player who decided to play my own Nami deck, which is absolutely insane. It was actually also a very close game. I really actually enjoyed playing this, and I actually been teaching him how to play One Piece, so it was actually like a very cool moment where I was like teacher and student battling it out. I was actually really happy with how he played. He did make some small misplays. We'll get into it. We'll kind of go like deep dive into the matchup. I would like to note that this is actually the first time that I actually played the matchup as Bonney, so it was kind of like thinking on the fly, because I usually just play RPL, right? So my game plan is just back things, bottom deck things, and basically I win. So let's get straight into it and let's watch. So let's see here. Actually gonna lower the volume a bit more. So yeah, let's just skip to when we actually get to play. I think I lost the dice roll here, and basically I think we do end up going first. Yeah. So yeah, so we basically went over a lot on like how the game interactions work and stuff. So it's basically going to be like sometimes I'm just going to explain to him what happened essentially. So he does nothing. We both do nothing on our first turn, and we actually get to basically we just got to pass every time. I didn't really have anything to play for my hand, which was actually kind of fine. Whenever you want to swing into Nami, generally speaking, you want to swing 4s rather than 2s, right? This rule only applies when he has at least one Dawn open. But as you go later on in the game, it might be more favorable for you to swing 2s if he has one Dawn open. So what you want to do against Nami is you want to keep track of their discard. And the reason for this is because once you go later into the game, I actually do this quite often when I'm playing against Nami, is kind of keep the counts in the deck and like kind of see what he's played. This happens for multiple reasons. You want to see the counts of your Sanji's PLF and his opponent's Impel Down All-Stars, because then you can also hand map life map triggers. So if you know that he has like 3 PLFs already used, or like 3 Impel Downs trashed, it is very likely that they're not in his life and they're probably in his hand or deck. And this is like what you would do progressively, and you kind of understand what is likely to be in his hand and such, right? So ideally swing 9 at least, the minimum. You want to kind of force out as much counter as much as you can, and if you swing 7 or 8, you can always use like level up beam or something like that, which is normally not that bad really. It just depends on what you want to do, right? But yeah, so first thing what you should do is you basically just swing 9s. We do swing 8 here, but we really have nothing else to play, so there's no real point in doing this. But see, like, because I swung 8, he just gavelled, and because of that he already is like 2 cards into his deck basically. Alright, he crashes 2. Yeah, but the first time I don't play Law and I fucking see Nami in my first game. That would actually be wild. But I love my Dons. My Dons are actually sick. Alright, so he does nothing here, which is pretty standard. Quite good, actually. He wants to keep all his Don open, so he avoids all the swings that might be coming to him. And we play Luffy. Luffy's normally played for black matchups. But what we want to do is we want to set up a board where we kind of like have the numbers advantage, and the harder we swing, the more counter has to give us and stuff that we would need to play from hand. What you could do also when you have wider swings, you can still consistently swing 9s until he uses all his 4K counters. If I'm not mistaken, now they run like 12 4K counters. He has like the 4 white venoms or whatever it's called. This is a new op07 4K counter where it bounces like a 2 cost or something. There's those, Love Bellows, and then he has Giant Gum Gatling and some other cards like that. But yeah, we want to basically force them out as early as we can. And yeah, we just pass. I don't know. I don't agree with me swinging the 5K there. I don't really think that was a good idea in hindsight. But my kind of point is that if we force cards out earlier in the game, because Nami doesn't really want to take life in the early game, they want to kind of sustain it for later, right? So that's pretty much what we were like going for. But yeah, so in hindsight though, it wasn't really a good idea. I do think he's gonna play something here, but I don't see anything playable. No, I don't. I think he's just gonna pass here. That would be probably the best move here. Oh, I think unless he has PLF maybe. Oh, okay. So he didn't realize. Alright, so he shouldn't have swung there, but I guess since he had like nothing better else to play, building that one card is kind of not a bad idea. But you want to generally try to avoid doing that unless like you have absolutely fucking nothing to play, right? So it's not a bad idea, but it's like kind of you're better off like doing something more resourceful with your on rather than just swinging. Alright, so I think we just swing 7, play Hawkins here. Yeah. Right, we want to force out the 4 cost cards here. So like Love Bellow here would be huge. Okay, so he actually goes for Distant Spada, which is not a bad idea, right? Because he wants to like start thinking for the late game at one point, and if he could do that as early as he can, right? If he does his Pradas and he like stacks the top 3 cards, he can either like draw Sanji's PLF, top decks it, and then Sanji's PLF the other 2 cards, which is a viable play he could do. It's something that's definitely possible. I think that's what he did. I did see a Kaya, so he might put Kaya on the top, and then when he gets to it, he just draws the 2. And if there's like nothing else he's gonna bottom deck ever, then that's kind of his win con. And then he treasures one card from the top here, which is Deathwing. Okay, so since this is my deck, I already know. Since it's my deck, I know I only run one Deathwing, so just because of the situation that it was, I just know that like I'm never gonna see these like cards ever again, right? So it's not something that you would normally prepare yourself for. It's just something that I knew, right? So yeah, he draws 2 Dawn. Now he's what, 2, 4, 6, 8 Dawn? Yeah, 8 Dawn. Doesn't really do much, right? So yeah, so he's just gonna start walling up now. He just needs to draw cards as well, so I guess we're gonna. Okay, he's still learning, guys, so like he's obviously gonna do some misplays, right? So it's something that we're expecting. We're not abusing it, it's just like something that's something that we have to note in this video. It's also like really important to remember, like when you're playing against Nami, hand size is very important. Your opponent specifically, because you want to map out the swings in a way where it's actually going to be effective. Because if you just gonna essentially like swing smaller numbers, they're just gonna keep countering, and you're never gonna get anywhere, and they're still milling their deck. because you need to remember that Nami plays very differently, and it's not very like it's more of a solitaire deck. So you just essentially watch your opponent play, and you're never gonna interact with them on their turn. So it's just gonna be like a game of Pokemon basically, and you're just gonna watch him do his thing while you're sitting there helpless. But when you're gonna play, then they're gonna react. So they're essentially doing more than you are every turn. So it kind of sucks. I'm just explaining Basil Hawkins here. So we swing 7 again. I don't really agree with it, but when he used 2/2Ks, I'm assuming he had no 4K counters, so he kind of got me there. But we might be, yeah, this is pot again. So let's see here. Got love of mellow, and there's this pot again. He's gonna leave them on the top, which is actually quite a good idea. But let's see how he reacts to this. I would agree with this because he doesn't want to see them in the bottom, because then he might lose, right? And he 2Ks out of it. We do 7K again. Then he goes down to 4 cards. Now this is where he probably mellows. Because Love Mellow draws him a card now. Then we just play Kid. Rest him, and then I think we'll play Rosinante. Yeah. So this list actually had only one Rosinante in it, because I think his deck is like try to mimic mine as much. So we kind of like teched for to simulate my deck as much as possible. Alright, now he goes to Tendon. So when Nami hits Tendon, it actually enters like this state where they're probably gonna be countering a lot more than we would like. So it's also something that we need to keep wary of. That we kind of now want to incentivize them to take life rather than block. So we usually do this by swinging even bigger numbers. So sometimes we're going to start swinging 11, sometimes we're going to swing 10. There's just going to be like a lot of things, right? Because now they do utilize White Snake, which basically makes their leader plus 1000 more for the turn. So swinging 5s, for example, will no longer work because they're going to be 6k base. And this would also imply that swinging 9 is also now no longer an effective number. We're going to like start to need swinging 10. So this is something we need to keep in mind always, and we always need to min-max the amount of swings we're going to do. Obviously, now that they play blockers, I forgot what her name is, I think Margarine or something. We need to also keep aware that if we swing too high, they're just going to block, which is objectively worse rather than them countering, because they're not using any hand cards. So that's just something we need to actually remember. I think his hand is full of mellows, which kind of sucks for us. I think he's definitely passing here. I don't think he has any play. Yeah, it's just explaining Hawkins again. Yeah. It's not something that's gonna really be really used practically here. It's just 6,000 power. It's just insane. We do want to try to keep our boards as safe as possible, right? Because more swings is better. His hand is kind of disgusting as well. Like, really bad. So right, so now we're gonna. So that wasn't probably a good number to do there. That was definitely a misplay. It should have been a 9k swing there. Well, I think this was gonna be a this was gonna be a Dovi turn. That's why. So I guess him taking there was actually kind of big for us, because this kind of made us realize that he's probably bricked that, or he was baiting us and he decided to take a life. He did trigger peel off, which did kind of suck because he drew 2 additional cards. Now his hand size is back to like being optimal, because like Nami generally wants to hover like between 4 to 6 cards, because then she can counter most things. But yeah, that trigger definitely did hurt, but it's not the end of the world. We're just obviously still gonna keep doing our thing here. Yeah, now we play Dofi. So Dofi is actually very important in this matchup. It's mostly because when we're gonna play Dofi now, we're actually technically also playing against countering and planning ahead when he does actually White Snake. Because remember when we said like 9 is no longer an optimal number. 10 by default on its own now should be the counter for White Snake. We can also like plan ahead and like even attach it on, make it 11k to technically counter Deathwing, right? Because then if he were to Deathwing, then he would need to use another card to counter additionally. So these are like just small interplays that you would need to like think about as you go on, right? So I'm just helping him here because when if you're a newer player, and if something gets frozen or basically is unable to get untapped, you still get your Don essentially. Okay, so he PLFs is here, which is kind of huge for him. He's goated. He's goated. He actually is goated. It was kind of insane. Probably plays the blocker again. That's probably the ideal move he can do here. So now there's like a very big amount of swings coming, so you should start preparing for like the onslaught of swings. One thing also you should do, which is what I'm doing here now, is that you want to basically like keep track of his deck count, because you want to like obviously start recognizing when you need to actually start like swinging hard rather than wide, because if you like swing more smaller numbers, he's just gonna keep countering, and that's how he essentially you help him towards his game plan. Which if you swing bigger, he's gonna lose more hand cards. More hand cards means less cards in hand. Less cards in hands means less likely to counter. Less likely to counter, more take life, and that's progressively how we're gonna like progress through. Obviously, there are counters, triggers that he could get because it is Nami, and most of the deck is triggers, I think. But they're not like essential triggers, but he still has like draw triggers and stuff. So it is something that you should need to like keep tabs on, you know. I think at this point he had like 21 cards in deck or something. Alright, so he does pass here. We are looking for a Zoro or a Hody here. These are like very important cards. Like Hody is probably your best card because you take your life, and you also rest on, which is insane for us against Nami. So we swing 11. We're playing against Deathwing. I know he doesn't have it, but like at the time I think it was just like something that slips away. But we should have known that he didn't have it here. I'm actually surprised he didn't play the blocker here. I mean, it's not a misplay. It's not a misplay. It's not a misplay. It's just something that like if you're playing Nami, is essentially you have more freedom with your Don if you know you're not gonna die or you're gonna take too much damage. If you're playing a blocker, you're still drawing a card. You still have the blocker. If I swung 11 here and he has a second blocker, it would have been totally fine for him to sack the blocker. I don't think you can bounce it anymore. But like, it is something you could have done, right? Because I don't think people run overheat anymore. So he goes to 6k base. So he's at 6k base now. So remember, now we would need to swing 10s if we want to swing like for life. This was actually like a very close game. So he does use a lot of hand cards here. This is something that I feel like he did misplay here. He used like a lot of cards to counter out the swing when hand size matters so much as Nami, that he technically did use it a lot, and that wasn't probably the most ideal move he could have done. I think if he just sacked the blocker, it would have been fine, because like at this point we only used one Don, which could indicate that I'm playing Zoro, which would indicate that my next few swings are going to be smaller, something that you could have countered with a lot easier and use less hand size, less cards from his hand. And if he had the level of mellows, which I didn't know at the time, would have allowed him to draw more cards rather than stack and just go to 6k base. So it is, I would say that it was definitely a misplay, but I wouldn't say it's like a game-breaking misplay, right? So it's not bad, but it could have been better. Yeah, that is kind of bad. But he does need to see his white snakes. He does bottom deck them, which kind of makes sense, because if you draw one and you keep looping into others, I guess that would have been a good idea. But so we do swing wide here. We do actually swing wide here, which is actually kind of huge for us, because we want to basically crush the hand size, right? This is what we're doing. We're trying to go for life here. But if we just get more cards in hand, it's still a win. It's just something that we kind of we want him more to take life rather than to counter. That's why the swings are much bigger. But he is running out of Dawn though. He is running out of Dawn. So it does take here. That was actually kind of huge now, because like he was very low on Dawn, which is something we kind of wanted. Kind of did that so I can clear it up for him, so they don't look like more clutter. But we did leave the kid Dawn open, so like he knows. Okay, so now he's at 20. So I feel like the moment you want to start planning out to go to close out the game is when Nami hits 20. 20 is a very scary number, because if he still like hasn't seen all his like draw triggers and stuff, it might very well like it goes from 10 to 7, like 20 to 7, like really fucking quick. Like it's scary how like the last few cards can instantly be drawn that fast. It can really like shock you sometimes. I would like to preface, if you're playing in an official tournament or something, ideally you don't remove your Dawn. I just do this so it's a clear board state and people like at my locals can understand what like happened. I normally wouldn't condone doing that. If they're chill with it, fine, but careful because you can get rule sharked. So I wouldn't do that unless it's important or vital to the board states. This is just so you can, it's less clutter and it's easier for a person to understand. And even like since I was recording, it's like a clean board state. That's all it is. I would have definitely Kai'd here, like instead of if he does anything. Yeah, Kai would have definitely been a better pick here because you dig further. So now he's down to 18 cards in deck. I wouldn't do anything else here though. I would just pass here as Nami. Wait, what happened? Oh, I thought I milled the card for him. Alright, so we go. We're hoping it's Zoro, because Zoro will help us get to the win condition. Dawn should be unrested, but I mean, I just saw my turn, so. That is kind of weird. I really love left Mellow to draw. So I think this was his third now, I think. Okay, but now we're swinging bigger numbers, right? We kind of acknowledge that like it's time to go to do some damage. So 10 and 9 are actually good numbers to swing, right? So like we established. Alright, so it was actually kind of interesting. I guess I don't really know if this was like a good call or a bad call. I think it definitely was a good call, right? Because he knows that his last 2 cards are white snakes, so he definitely knows he has more left, and there's probably none left in his life, which is kind of a good indication that he wants to kind of get future hand knowledge, and he is stacking the deck. So his next turn, he has actually something that's playable. Let's see like what he draws, and let's see how he should have sequenced them. So I would go here Sanji's Pilaf first, then the 2 characters, and then the events. So I would just basically switch the Pilaf for the first card, and I think that would have been fine. I think that would have been the best stacking that he could have done. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's. I think it was fine. Yeah, I think that was still a good call. I think. And Gavos, this was not good. This was not good. If he was gonna do that, then I think that wasn't thing. I don't think he should have done that. I think he then should have put Pilaf into the 3rd card, so then he doesn't mill it. Because I think Pilaf here would have been a very vital card that he needed to secure his game. I think this was definitely a moment where he began to lose the matchup. I think, because other than that, I think he would have won so far. It was like a really close game. I actually thought I was still losing in this matchup so far. I wasn't feeling comfortable. I thought I actually was gonna lose. Yeah. Okay. So he acknowledges, which is great. But yeah, I think the Pilaf was definitely important here, because you need those. Kaya would be insane here. He should play the Kaya. Okay, so you see now like how since the game is actually like nearing its end, and he's drawn quite a bit, it is time to start like figuring out like, hey, what has he used so far? What can I expect triggers off of life? Does he have triggers in life? What could they be? What he has used? What's like possibly left in deck? What's the, it's like these small things that you would need to start realizing like, hey, this is time to like actually know what the possibilities are in his hand and what he could have in hand and stuff like that, right? It's very important to know what your opponent's played. This goes for all the matchups, right? But especially Nami, because if you know what he's played through, it's probably not going to be in his hand, and it's how you like whittle down probabilities and stuff, right? So it's actually something very important. You should do this a lot when playing against Nami. He's like 13 now or something. So now this is where the beatdown comes in. We need to like essentially go for the game now, or we might lose. So yeah, it's like 4, 8. There's like 12 cards in deck. So now would be this is a pivotal turn. Like this would be my final turn now. Now we gotta do math, because he technically has 5 life. So I think the best numbers I could have swung here is 10, 9, 10, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9 again, and then 9 again. Because we don't know if he has white snakes yet, right? So this would change further on. And he does have like he has like 7 Dawn, so obviously he's gonna have to spend the Dawn, and it's gradually gonna be less and less and less, and then eventually reach 0 Dawn, which means that the events in his hand would be useless. So then he has to resort to counter if he has it. So I feel like this shouldn't have been this big of a thing. I think blocking here immediately would have probably shifted my game plan entirely, I think. But he did this to draw, which is not a bad idea. But like still, I feel like this was not the right call. Swing 9. Oh, we could do 11-11 as well. Like 11-11 here would be also kind of pog. I don't think it was needed though, but if he plays white snake, then we could have changed the numbers then. So I don't think he's missed a trigger so far. I think he's 4 for 4 triggers at the moment. 11, phase 1, then on rests. So yeah, we need to start like doing big boy math here. So there's a guy, the guy I've actually borrowed the deck from, helping him play against the deck. So now we have 6 Dawn left, which means we have 4 Dawn. So I guess 9-7 would be the best number to swing here. So I guess he could have gavelled. So I guess he gavels, because like what, he has like 7 cards in deck now. He gavels, discards Kaya. Would have been fine here. Alright, 8 cards. Because like he has 2 gavels in hand, the Kaya. 2 gavels, Kaya, I can't really see. That was a misplay, I think. Because he needs to counter, like another 2 swings. Okay, discards counter. There's Kaya and some card. I can't really read what it is. Okay, that was fine. There's 2 more. Now we're gonna count again. Now we're actually like, so like now we're gonna actually count how many 4Ks he's used, because we're gonna have to like count what's left in the deck, what counters are like left in the deck. So like, you see how like, so we know that there's 3 Love Mellows, 4 Love Mellows, so he's out of Love Mellows. So now we know that like one of the 4K counter that he used before is no longer possible, so he used all 4 and we're fine. He also used all his 4 gavels, so there's no way he has another gavel, which means that he cannot mill another 2 cards off the top. Yeah, he also used the other 4K cost counter event as well. So, judging by the numbers that we've mathed with, we know it's very statistically very unlikely for him to have one in hand. So swinging 7 here was actually not bad, and it could kind of incentivize him to like, hey, okay, I only have 1 card left in hand, and I have the rest there. So it's very, very, very unlikely that he has like 4K, and if he does, then fuck it, we lost. But then we could do then goes 0 cards in hand, and then we swing 5 with Rosinante, which is something that could be done, but it was kind of like a less ditch effort kind of thing. It's probably not gonna happen, right? But if it happens, then fuck it. So he takes. Bro, he hit 5 triggers that game. Okay, so I feel like that was the misplay that he did, right? This is where he loses the game, because he shouldn't have removed this. But he has 3 Dawn though. No, he would have lost anyways though. Because if he kept that, he doesn't have the Dawn to do the White Snake after. Because he was at 3 Dawn. So no, he couldn't have won there. I do hate Nami. I love playing Nami, but I hate playing Nami. Yeah, so it was actually quite interesting. I feel like the moment where he really lost was where he trashed the Pilaf. I think it was here. Was he here? It's when he stacked and removed it. No, it wasn't here. I think it was the White Snake trigger. Yeah, this is where he lost, I feel like. Right, because if you have Gavel and you're gonna use it, and you know well aware that you're gonna use it, you want to start counting your deck from the 3rd card down. The first 2 cards are gonna inevitably end up as discard for the Gavel, right? So unless you really want these cards, I would just stack them on the bottom, period, right? So I definitely do think this is where he probably started losing the game. Because I don't think the way the game ended, he had the Dawn to actually live. So no matter what I did past that, I think he lost regardless. So yeah, I had to end the game there though. If I gave him one more turn, I would have lost, because then he would have drawn into the White Snake again, and then goes White Snake, wins, right? So I definitely do think this is where he ended up losing. And yeah, I mean, overall he played really well, right? There was also an instance where he could have played Kai instead of the second blocker. It was like, what, this turn? I think it was this turn where he had something else. Let me see. Yeah, he draws, and right there, see, so he had 2 for 6 Kai, 2 for 6 cost, 2 for 6 cost worth of counters, and he had 7 Dawn active. By playing Margaret over, I don't know, the blocker, he effectively paid 3 to draw 1, where Kaya does draw 2, trash 2, which does more overall. And his hand, I guess, could have been fixed by that as well. Because if you don't need the Margaret, then, or if you need everything else, then you can just trash the next 2 cards, which would have been fine. I mean, when he plays it, he draws what? So, let's see. He draws what? He drew Pilaf. So, then you could, like, discard the blocker, discard probably the White Venom card or whatever it's called, and then he would just Pilaf the next turn into Pilaf. Because I think that's how it worked. Something like that. But like, it wasn't a bad play. It's just you use your Dawn more efficiently, and just by hard casting Kaya, you're using 1 Dawn to draw an extra card. And since he didn't use the blockers until I played Zoro, like the next turn, like on my next turn, like he just countered from his hand, so he didn't even get the value from the blockers. So I guess if he was like setting up for the end game, I guess that could have been valid, but he had more time to do it regardless. Like he didn't need to do it then, because you're only gonna use blockers essentially when you feel like you're in threat to lose the game to turn off, right? So I don't think playing the second blocker was a good idea there. But that's pretty much it. I think he played well overall. Just maybe a few misplays which could be like fine-tuned when you play the game more. But yeah, that's pretty much it though. Other than that, it was a really good game. I really had fun playing that game. I think that was one of my closest Nami games. I lost one time. I lost really bad. Like, dude, like triggered like 2 PLFs, I think. Like turn 4 or 5, I think it was. It just thought like drew 4 cards on my turn. It was like, oh, awesome. And yeah, it was all downhill from there. But yeah, thank you guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you do like these kind of analytical videos where I just do VOD reviews of my own, or if you guys maybe have a video of a game that you want me to watch and kind of commentate on, just let me know in the comments, and we'll do this. We'll see how this goes. And yeah, that's it pretty much. Thank you for watching, and stay awesome. Peace.